would like to I would like to make some reflections only, which in my opinion is the importance of this event. Back in 2015, the European Commission made a communication called "Closing the Loop," in which he established. Of course, they didn't create it. They didn't create the circular economy concept, but they were putting or pavement the road to maybe what was to become this kind of projects like InCircle projects. You know that we are in a, or the scientists say we are in a new era, the Anthropocene, where we have a new mass extinction, biodiversity loss accelerated, and a climate crisis. So it is projects like this are very, very needed, not only because we accumulate knowledge that we have witnessed for the last years, but also to raise awareness among people. It is absurd. We all know, we are convinced it is absurd to think linearly when we have a finite planet. So we need to reinvent ourselves. We need to reduce. I think we need to learn to consume less, to think differently. And I know that this is especially dedicated in low density areas. I have some experience in this regard. I have been a mayor of a low density municipality, and I've been working in low density as an urbanist in low density areas. And I know that there is more consumption in water, there is more consumption in energy, there is more consumption in, there's more creation of waste, there is more unsustainable mobility. So I think that all the work that you have done until now, accumulating this knowledge, because we all are here for sure convinced that what we are doing, but we need to achieve to more people, to more local authorities, to more municipalities, to more mayors. There are still many mayors that don't feel appealed because of the climate crisis, of the change of behaviors. But we need to also, for me, in my opinion, more to the general public. We need to raise awareness of the general public, because as consumers, we can decide if we hire a cruise ship or not, or not. We can decide if we ask for a straw in a bar or not. We can decide if we ask for bottled water or we filter the water from the tap. We can decide if we bring our car to an island or not. And if the planet is a finite object, the islands are finite objects too. And I know that we are working, you are working on low density, but also in islands. So it's especially important that we raise awareness, that we change behaviors, and also we regulate some activities. So all the knowledge that you are accumulating, it's very important to be spread, and not only by the old ways of consuming. We have to also think and as an owner of an electric car, for example, raw materials, lithium and stuff like that, we need to rethink, and we need not to create new things, but also to reuse and tell people that we have to reuse, to think differently, to consume differently. So this is the phase of replication. This is the phase of capitalization. This is what MedCities like to do. This is what we offer to the project to do, to lead this process, to capitalize all the knowledge, to replicate all the knowledge, and to offer to other actors, to new actors in this phase, to replicate and to apply to their action plans all the accumulated knowledge. So I want to congratulate and to thank all the partners here. We are only a part of this. You have been, I know, many works, many tools the InCircle tools that we are going to present today, I think. So just to congratulate to everyone and hoping that many other authorities will be interested, many other aggregated territories will be interested in replicating this knowledge, in spreading the knowledge, in having this impact that I think that at the end is what we need. What we need to have an impact because we are running out of time, so we think to act differently. Thank you very much to all of you. Thank you for being here, and hope that this session will be very fruitful. And again, thank to all the people involved in this process, Gemma and all the family in InCircle, all the institutions that encompass InCircle. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for all those words, inspirational words towards the future, and running out of time basically also. So I'm gonna be sharing with you a video that the InCircle project has developed that we hope that inspires also. Sorry, I'm gonna share it with sound, otherwise it's not gonna work.
Tourism is a major source of financial growth for local communities. However, it has a cost in their daily life and their natural environment. The good news? Circular tourism. By bridging technological innovation with sustainable thinking, circular tourism aims to restore the environmental implications of human life. This is exactly what InCircle, an Interreg Med project, aims to do. Build on tried and tested knowledge to make circular tourism a widely adopted practice in the coastal, insular, and scarcely populated Mediterranean tourist destinations. So, if you are a policymaker, stay tuned. If you are a business owner in the tourism sector, a local, or a traveler, visit www.incircle.interreg-med.eu and learn more about how you can be part of the circle.
Lovely. It's a very kind of motivating kind of rhythm of a video.
Let's talk about how much holidays cost for tourists.
Nagore, your microphone is switched off.
Should we, while Nagore fixes the microphone problem, should we introduce Fabio? Okay, so, well, now Fabio Tomasi from Area Science Park is going to do an introduction to the InCircle project, a generic introduction. Fabio is the InCircle project coordinator, so thank you, Fabio, whenever you want.
Thank you, Gemma. Thank Josep and Nagore for the introduction. So my task will be to introducing you in a less lovely and animated way as the video to the InCircle project. So what is InCircle? So the full name of the project, which is support insular and low density area in the transition towards a more circular tourism economy, is already a description of what we are doing. So we are Interreg Med funded and supported projects. So we have been funded and we are actually supported by the Interreg Med program. And we include a partnership of Mediterranean partners that include both partners with a technical scientific background, regional and national authorities with an institutional profile working on policies and strategies, and local authorities that are developing pilot actions, demonstrators of the ideas and principles that we have developed and applying those strategies to their territories. So, to present the partners and moving from east to west as the sun, in Cyprus we have the Larnaca municipality, the development agency of the Larnaca-Famagusta district, in Greece the region of Crete and the municipality of Resimno, and Civinet, Greece and Cyprus. In Albania, we have the Albanian Institute of Transport and the municipality of Imaria. In Malta, we have the Energy and Water Agency of Malta and the Ministry for Gozo. In Italy, there's also Arisens Park and the Scuola Universitaria Superiore Sant'Anna. In Spain, we have the regional government of the Balearic Highlands and the Palma City Council, and finally, but not last, MedCities, that even if it's based in Spain, could be considered a pan-European organization since it includes cities from all over the Mediterranean basin. And that's very important for promoting and involving municipality for the whole Mediterranean area, as we will see later. So, what's the main challenge that we are tackling with the project? So usually we imagine that there's a trade-off between income from tourism and the quality of environment. But is it really unavoidable? Is it really necessary that if we improve the quality of our environment, then we have a negative impact on the economy, on the business sector? This is something that we are going to explore. So, just to remind you about the definition of circular economy. So, ideally, circular economy is a closed circle. There is natural resources that you have originally in the circle are used all in the circle without any further input and without any output getting out of the circle. That means working on the whole life cycle of products and services, from the design, production, distribution, use, the collection of the products after the end use, and the recycling and remission of the circle. We know that unfortunately it's not possible to have a totally closed circle, but the aim of the circular economy is to minimize the inputs, in other words, the use of resources, energy, water, and minimize the outputs, in other words, waste, emissions, pollution. So the objectives of our project is to reduce the environmental footprint of tourism activities, promote an integrated sustainable planning of tourism, a better assessment of tourism impact on destinations, and improve the management of natural resources according to the principle of circular economy. In practical terms, what we are offering is to highlands and low density area, but not only, is a methodology based on previous experience. We didn't have to invent the wheel. There's already a lot of knowledge available. We had just to adapt those principles to the specific needs of the tourism. So we developed a methodology. We are collecting best practices and making them available to you on an online knowledge platform when you can just navigate, select those actions, pilot best practices that would be more interesting for you and be of inspiration for you. We are testing those solutions to our pilot territories with the concrete actions, new services, development of new infrastructure, small infrastructure. And also what is very important, a new set of indicator has been developed to assess the level of circularity in your region, your location, your business. Because it's extremely important that you know the starting point and that you are able to assess and monitor the improvements and the effectiveness of the strategies, the policy of the actions that you are implementing. Parallel, we are working on capacity building for policymaker, tourism operator, and what also was the aim of today, to replicate, disseminate the results of our work to our region so that other regions can learn from our experience, get inspiration with the support of our experts, develop their own strategies. The concept of circular economy has been applied to tourism following four main pillars: energy efficiency and use of renewable energy sources. Energy is extremely important, it's the base for everything. Waste management. The Mediterranean Sea and our beaches are literally littered by waste, in particular plastics. That's dramatic. And sustainable mobility. Mobility and transport is the sector where we have the smaller reduction of CO2 emissions in the last year. So we have to focus not just for environments, but also for quality of life. We can easily imagine a small destination literally congested by cars and other vehicles. And water management, especially in the Mediterranean, water is a precious and rare resources that need to be preserved, especially in the face of an increasing climate impact on this crucial resource. So, to sum up, which could be the benefits of applying circular tourism to your region? Less waste, less pollution and CO2 emissions, smaller energy and water consumption, less congestion, and a new business opportunity. Getting back to our my first question, circular economy can generate new business opportunity. If we promote local foods, it's new opportunities for your farmer, for rural development. If we promote shared mobility, that's new business opportunity. So the speakers that will follow me will present in more details what I just briefly introduced. I thank you for your attention, and I hope that what will follow will meet your requirements. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I will be asking you, if you can, to everyone to join the chat and see the link there. There's a Mentimeter link for you to respond to the first question, which is, in which type of organization do you work? We just want to know, obviously, a bit about you so that we know the crowd that we are hosting today. Also because that helps us when we bring presentations, when we bring examples during the different presentations, the different solutions that InCircle has for you, we can understand whether mostly if you are, as I can see, academia or destinations or environmental agencies or other entities. Thank you for participating. We are 55 people today. Some of us, of course, from the project. So, but we are mostly interested in everyone else that we don't know. So we are getting quite a lot of academia and destinations. Thank you for participating. All right, so we have quite a crowd of both columns, destinations and academia. Okay, I can wait a bit in case you want to go on participating. It makes sense, right? Since many of the things that we're going to be presenting today, it helps to have the academia right by, or consultants, if you can, because they are the knowledge partners for some of the things that the project has developed that are useful to you. So thank you for that. I'm going to move to the second question. Okay. Does your destination have a sustainability strategy? If you can respond to that, it will be quite helpful, since part of the toolkits that InCircle is providing refer specifically to developing a strategy towards sustainability, but also towards circularity. But here the question is specifically on sustainability strategy in your destination. If you are a company, then it's the destination you're operating in, okay? If you're aware that there is a sustainability strategy. So there seems to be work to be done, which is good, because that's the actual knowledge that InCircle brings for you. So a lot of destinations also are having a sustainability strategy so far, which is good, as Josep Canals were saying, for the planet. So thank you for participating. Okay, so we are almost balanced there. I'm going to stop sharing. Later on, we'll do some other questions. So now we continue with the program. We move into the first session. I'm going to show you a video first, but the session is called Tools and Methodologies, Tools and Methodologies to Foster Cooperation and Sustainable Strategies Development. This is kind of the core, or one of the cores of the InCircle project. And for you to be able to see also how it works, I'm going to be showing a video that InCircle project has developed that illustrates quite nicely and in a motivating path what they are proposing for you.
Are you a touristic region wishing to increase the circularity and sustainability of the tourism in your area? We support you in replicating InCircle approach in your territory. InCircle is a project aimed at boosting the sustainability of tourist destinations and businesses in the Mediterranean. InCircle focuses on 5 principles of circular economy and 4 pillars. Have a look at our InCircle knowledge platform, where you will find tools to help develop your circular economy strategy. The InCircle Operational Model Toolkit guides policy and decision makers in the development of territorial strategies towards a more circular tourism. The toolkit consists in a detailed methodology guiding through all the different phases of policy development, from strategy concept to implementation. A strategy development template paving the path to strategy design and development, and a checklist summarizing progress in the development of the strategy. The InCircle Participatory Process Toolkit will help you to actively engage all actors from your tourist sector in the definition of common objectives and development of the common tourism strategy. This kit consists of several tools intended to help develop successful participatory processes. A set of guidelines providing tips and techniques to engage stakeholders in strategy development. a series of stakeholders working groups templates for an effective reporting of results obtained, and the European Awareness Scenario Workshop storyboard to effectively set up and run the process. The InCircle Strategy Evaluation Toolkit will help you prepare and assess your tourism strategy, ensuring it is circular in nature. Within this toolkit, you will find a strategy evolution framework document with a detailed explanation of measures used to increase and test the strategy's circularity, and the strategy evaluation template to be filled in once the strategy is completed. This will provide you with a final score reflecting how strongly it adheres to the circular economy principles. In addition, within the replication toolkit, you will also find a summary of strategies that other territories like yours have developed as InCircle project partners. Preserving the quality and availability of natural resources, as well as ensuring a high quality of life of residents and tourists. This is the aim of the InCircle project for the present and future generations.
All right. So we're going to move on within the session that I mentioned earlier, and we start with Enrico Longato, Area Science Park, explaining the operational model toolkit. So please, Enrico, thank you.
Just a second, sorry. Because can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much for the introduction. And yeah, so what I'm going to talk to you today is about the operational model for regional and national strategy on circular tourism. My name is Enrico Longato from Area Science Park, and I work for the study unit. Yeah, so today I'm going to talk about as I said, the operation model, which was one of the first deliverable of the project. First of all, why you should listen to this presentation.
Sorry, Enrico, we are seeing you, but we are not seeing the slides.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Now you should see. I just forgot.
Perfect.
I'm sorry. It's just because, you know, with all these platform sharing, it's always a bit tricky to switch from one to the other. So as I said, why you should listen to this presentation is, so the operational model is a very generic recipe that helps you to design a policy for sustainable tourism and circular tourism. It saves time because if you are going to if you are thinking to design new policy for your territory, this is a very brief checklist on how to proceed, and it provides you an inspiration and a general overview. And the result is this, which is it's a scheme that very summarize the concept, the idea of the operational model. What it is, the operational model? It's a document. It's not so long. It's just about 20 pages, more or less. And it's mainly addressed to policymakers and the decision makers of a territory that wants to plan and want to introduce some circular and sustainable concept on the touristic policies. And the main aim is to offer a framework for incorporating the critical sustainability and circularity aspect for the policy making. Well, as Fabio said before, this is just one piece of one part of an integrated instrument that InCircle developed. So we have the operational model that is complementary with the set of indicators and the knowledge platforms the knowledge platform that my colleague are going to explain more into the details afterwards. But basically, the indicators helps you in all the phases of the policy making and the policy implementation. And the knowledge platform, it's a platform that helps you to get some inspiration from other and past experiences. So just a very quick reminder of what the project is about, as Fabio said. So InCircle wants to apply the principle of circular economy to the tourism sector. So circular economy is a buzzword that we are listening to since almost more than 10 years. And it's getting very, very used in all our lives. But when we are talking about circular economy, we are talking about an economy that is restorative by design, and whose main focus is the waste management, waste prevention, resource efficiency. And if we are talking about green economy, also we are talking about ecosystem resilience and human well-being. So this is the background of the InCircle project. For the operational model, also we, as the project said, it kind of builds up of previous knowledge, so previous experiences, and one of these was the UNWTO, so the United Nations agency responsible for the promotion of responsible, sustainable, and universally accessible tourism, which in 2019, for example, investigate and identifies the major barriers that hinder and affecting sustainable tourism deployment, and is engaged also to the into the Sustainable Development Goals, so the SDGs. And then we have the 880s, so European Tourism Indicator System, which is a set of 43 core indicators that indicate a set of supplementary indicators, and the Interreg, so the MED program, Sustainable Tourism Community, that also identifies in 2 years ago, basically, the most urgent action areas in which we need to focus. And as Fabio Tomasi said, so the InCircle project is focused on mobility, energy, water management, and waste prevention. And the main principles are the principles of the proper of the circular economy. So reduce, regenerate, rethink, innovate, revalue. And this creates all these elements are the ingredients for the operational model. So as you can see, we have a perimeter defined by the principles, and inside we can find some basic steps that we need to take when we are defining and implementing our policy. So we have a loop that is managed by the governance. So we have the context analysis, share common vision and goals, define the main targets, the measure planning and funding, and monitoring and assessment. So I'm going very, very, very briefly into these steps. So since we are not, we are running a bit of time. So the methodology. The first step is a context analysis. This is one of the base, of course, that we are looking where we're standing, and the main focus should be on the circularity and sustainability gaps in terms of mobility, energy, waste, and water management. And the idea is to measure of where we are, as we said. One of the very, very useful instruments is the SWOT analysis. So as we said, we don't want to invent the wheel, but we want to capitalize all the past experiences. So, and of course, the SWOT analysis is one of the most used instruments. Everything should be managed by a proper governance. And about the governance, we have here the effective governance principles that are embracing complexity, balance without compromise in terms of reconcile and maintain a careful balance between all the actors and all the phases of the policy making, and inclusivity, so that we will see also in the other instruments developed by the project. So trying to involve all the stakeholders, and empowerment, so ensure the capacity and the mandate for agents to be change makers. As we said, so we have the context analysis, we have the management, then we have to create some groups of interest, so stakeholders working groups. They should be an heterogeneous mixes of components for the territory. And the idea is that these groups should define a shared common vision, and that is where the territory wants to go. And this should create a common sense of where the territory, what the territory wants to become. And then in order, so we have the vision, and then we have to define some basic targets that should be measurable, so and understandable from territory. And for each target should be identifying some strategic indicators, and in order to be to measure these targets and the progress. And as I said, also it should be for each shortlisted measure, a set of relevant information needs to be provided, and needs to be provided, like also a timeline, and how we are going to achieve this, and how we are going to finance all these measures. And all this should be monitored and evaluated with in terms of time, but also in terms of performance. So I was very quick. So, but everything you can find on the link. So as on the project website, and all the documents are free and accessible to everyone. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Enrico. It was quite clear to follow, so thank you for that. And now we have, for a bit more of content, I remember that we're having 3 speakers that tell us what InCircle is offering, and then we're having one destination telling us how they've been doing, okay, to absorb all of that and implement it. So Anja Starec, Area Science Park, thank you very much. If you can move to full screen, it would be great. Thank you.
And you're muted, Anja.
Yeah, we do not hear you.
You hear me now, I hope. Sorry.
Yeah, perfect. Yes, no problem. This happens, no problem.
Perfect. Thank you, Nagore. I'm Anja, Enrico and Fabio's colleague. And I would like to delve into a bit into one of core issues for InCircle, meaning the participation. And I would like to start with you discussing why does participation matter? Why it matters for us, for the InCircle project, why it should matter for you as well. As you know, there are different benefits that participation offers. I would like just to mention some of them. It ensures active public engagement. It increases communication and cooperation between stakeholders. It guarantees that a felt need is duly taken into account. It builds trust and a sense of ownership. It encourages a sense of responsibility, especially between decision makers. And finally, but not less importantly, it helps planning and decision making. So basically, we could say that participation is the base, is the essence of good governance. And so the quality and effectiveness of policy depends on the real and concrete involvement of all stakeholders in decision making, from its creation to its implementation, as Enrico was pointing out before, it could result in greater confidence into final results that were achieved and in greater trust in the institutions that make the political decisions. And why it should matter for you, in my perspective, because participation is a win-win game. On the one side, it's lead to empowerment of stakeholders, providing them with opportunity not just to be informed what's going on, but ensuring them to influence and guide and monitor and evaluate the public decisions. You know, if you are a European citizen, as Henny was pointing out in the chat, you would like to be part of this, not just to be informed about, not just to increase your awareness, but to be part of these decisions. On the other side, participation, it leads towards improved governance in terms of transparency, accountability, and responsiveness to the needs of the people. So how we ensure this? How we ensure participation in InCircle? As Enrico was pointing out before, we established stakeholder working groups in each partner territory, being it a national territory, a regional, or a local one. And the aim was to have a laboratory where different perspectives and might be merged and a common interest might arise. Stakeholder working groups might be acknowledged as interdisciplinary working teams made up of different organizations and individuals involved and interested in different tourism aspects. As you can see from the word cloud, different institutions were involved in this, starting from natural park management bodies, tourist organization, regional transport departments, and so on. It goes without saying that the richer is the composition of stakeholder working group, the stronger and the better are its final results. And why we organize stakeholder working group? Enrico was already mentioning something before. What I want to point out is that we wanted to go farther than just to define and establish sector priorities. We wanted to identify the needs that the territories are experiencing right now, and then focus the strategy on how to solve those problems and issues arisen. At the same time, ensuring that strategies are going to be inclusive and widely owned, and as such, easily implemented. How we worked within stakeholder working groups, we gathered data and territorial information taken into account in circle pillars, as mentioned before, circular economy principle, and specific tourism features of each territory. We delved into main circular tourism bottlenecks and challenges to better understand how obstacles can be removed and the circular change effectively triggered. Last but not least, we wanted to define the future scenario of the sector along with its visions and main measures to reach it. While doing this, we use different tools to manage and animate stakeholder working groups. And in general terms, 3 stakeholder working groups were organized so far in each territory. One to determine the bottlenecks, one to come up with the vision, and the last one for the definition of ideas to be included in the strategy. As I said before, different tools were used to trigger engagement participation, and online surveys developed by our colleagues from Sant'Anna were one of those. And we used them to first identify key sector of the tourism, key actors of the tourism industry and the tourism sector in general. Then we used them also for assessing the knowledge of circular economy principle to know if a territory is ready or not to start discussing about circular economy, if there are already some strategies as in the Mentimeter tool we asked before or not, to identify bottlenecks and challenges to sustainable tourism and to circular tourism, and to map potential circular tourism pioneers, and to assess the possibility and the opportunity to set up some networks around circular tourism. Another tool we used that's definitely helped us in defining the vision and the ideas that were then included in the strategy is a quite well-known participatory method called European Awareness Scenario Workshop, which fosters dialogue between different social actors, and it ensures to exchange knowledge between different participants with the final aim of building awareness among them, and especially to point out possible solutions to the tackled issues. The method, as you can see from the image, is based on two main activities. The first one is the vision-making activity, aimed at elaborating a common vision of participants on the possible future of the tourist destination, like where we're going, where the destination is going to be in 10 years' time, where we would like to be. And the second activity, the idea generation one, is where basically participants are asked to discuss and possibly determine what must be done, how and by who, in order to achieve the future common vision. So what can a destination do to make the vision come true in 10 years' time? And what we got out of it? Of course, first feedback of what worked well is that all stakeholders participated very gladly and were very interested in this. So this was the first result for us. The second one is that 96 ideas to be included in the InCircle strategy were just taken out of this experience, and 21 ideas were basically referring to energy efficiency, renewables, like potential improving solutions, 18 to the waste management, 21 ideas to the mobility, sustainable mobility issue, and 19 to the water management. Along with this, we had 17 horizontal ideas focused on tourism. With this, once all those ideas were developed, we took them and included them in specific templates envisaged in the strategy, where basically partners were saying what they are going to do to reach the goal, the final goal of turning their territories into circular destinations. Strategies are right now in their finalization phase, and soon they are going to be approved by stakeholder working groups once again. So another meeting is going to be organized, ensuring that all stakeholders will be included in all policy-making phases, as mentioned before us by Enrico, from policy creation to its validation and final implementation. And this is basically our participatory experience in a very nutshell. Feel free to pose questions, or in case, come back to us as a replicating territory. We'll be glad to support you. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, so after this, we have Julia Bonello, Energy and Water Agency of Malta. So Julia, the floor, virtual floor, is yours.
Thank you very much. I'm just going to share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes. Perfect.
Yeah, full screen?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So thank you for the introduction. I'm going to be explaining the strategy evaluation toolkit on behalf of the Energy and Water Agency. So this is just a very brief outline of what this presentation is going to contain. So why you would like a circular tourism strategy, why as a potential replicating territory, why you would be interested in this, an explanation of the toolkit, the framing and the scoring of the toolkit, and then some other aspects that fall within this. So why would a circular tourism strategy be right for you? So if you are a tourism authority or regulator, or a tourism sectoral operator, or a decision maker or policy maker within a territory, and you have a focus on either increasing the circular economy of your tourism sector within your territory or region through holding stakeholder working groups, as Anja has just mentioned, or you have a functioning tourism strategy already in place, but you would like to update it to make it more circular, or you would like to encourage circularity and environmental consciousness amongst your stakeholders and visitors to your region, Or you would like to attract stakeholders within the tourism sector to become more circular through the promise of increased environmental corporate social responsibility. Then I can tell you that the strategy evaluation toolkit is for you. So basically the toolkit is built on the previously mentioned 5 InCircle principles and the 4 pillars. So water, energy, waste, and mobility. So now that I've mentioned why it might be right for you, what's in it for you? So you will be able to use the toolkit before forming your circular tourism strategy. You will also be able to use it if you already have a tourism strategy in place and it has been finalized, but you'd like to evaluate it and see where it can become more circular. It also offers a means of determining how circular in nature the strategy is already through a tailor-made scoring method, whilst also offering possibilities for improvement. And finally, the toolkit can be used to assess your tourism strategy in case of using the 5 principles combined together, or by focusing on a few principles alone, depending on the needs of your region. So I've explained the framework, who it can be used by, and what you can benefit from it. So now I will explain the actual toolkit itself. So it is made up of 2 documents. The first document is this strategy evaluation framework document, which is the detailed document based, as I mentioned, on the 5 principles of the project and the 4 pillars. And the document offers different circular metrics and measures, which according to each of the 5 principles, and it will explain in great detail the scoring process for each of the measures and the metrics. The second document falling under the toolkit is the synthetic strategy summary template. And this will be used by any replicating territories to fill in the information once their circular tourism strategy is completed or updated and improved. And it will allow for the assessment and scoring and also any recommendations for improvement. So now we move on to this very complex looking diagram. It is basically just an explanation of the framework structure itself. So you have the 5 principles, the pillars, and then the associated measures. And again, all this information is explained in great detail in the report document. So we can just take a brief look at the reduced principle, the first principle. So for each of the principles, as I said, there are 4 metrics. You have water, energy, waste, and mobility. And we've also added a horizontal metric that allows for cross-cutting tourism approach between the InCircle pillars and also the stakeholders. So each metric is given a predetermined weighting. So the 4 InCircle pillars are giving a weighting of 2 if they are included in the tourism strategy, and the horizontal metric is given a weighting of 4 because it encapsulates more and felt that it was more important. And then you can see for each of the metrics, there are an accompanying 5 measures. So for each of the measures, if they are present or not, they get a rating depending on how strongly they are present within the strategy. And the rating of the measures vary from either a rating of 0, 1, or 2. So we get to the maybe slightly complex part. We have the first equation, which is used to calculate the circularity of a single principle. So you have the weighting of the metrics and the ratings of the measures for the single first principle. We then move on to the second equation, which is basically once you've given a score for your first principle and then the following 4 principles, you can add the scores together to generate a total circularity strategy score. And basically what this allows for is if you're calculating the score of a single principle, your maximum score is of 24, and your maximum total strategy score is of 120. So I will now briefly explain very briefly the types of scoring and weighting, showing that there are different types, as I had previously mentioned. So this is basically just a very simple explanation. If we take the first principle, the reduced principle, and we look at the water metric, so we say the metric explains what measured typologies does the strategy include to support enterprises in optimizing their water use efficiency. So if we take the first measure, which is legislative instruments, if there are any instruments present relating to water use efficiency and regulating the adoption of water use efficiency technologies, it gets a score of 2. If no measures are present, it gets a score of 0. we can move on to a different scoring method, which is the fourth measure, which is awareness and engagement initiatives. So if there are no awareness or engagement initiatives present that tackle either the tourism sector as a whole or tackling tourism operators specifically, then it gets a score of 0. If one of the measures is present, so either a water awareness campaign tackling tourism sector or tourism operators, a score of 1 is given. If there are environmental awareness engagement initiatives for both groups, then a score of 2 is given. And basically, I just wanted to add these to show that for the same type of scoring is used for regenerate and for each of the pillars. So we have regenerate, revalue, rethink, innovate, and that's it. Again, this is all explained very, very well in the framework document. And now we move on to the second part of the toolkit, which is the synthetic strategy summary template. And as you can see in the image, it's a template format that will be used to input the names of the measures of the circular tourism strategy. It asks for the time frame of implementation, the metric to be used, the target, the estimated cost, and what measure the principle falls under. And then I just showed you the first one in detail. The following topics will also be addressed. So you have water reuse and alternative water resources, energy use efficiency, renewable energy systems, waste reduction, separation and recycling, sustainable transport solution and infrastructure. These are just a few. It's more explained further down the line. And then once the partner has, or the replicating territory has filled in this template, it allows us to generate a score based on circularity and where possible improvements can be made. So I decided to include this visual representation, which I have taken from the Urban Water Atlas for Europe. And it basically shows you that there are some, for example, indicators where the scoring is very low, while there are other indicators where the scoring is very high. We plan to do the same thing for the strategies. So if there are any measures that are lacking, they would receive a lower score, and vice versa with measures that are doing very well and would receive a higher score. And again, based on this, we could offer improvements for how a region can improve their circular tourism strategy. This is it from my end. I hope I was in time. I think I should have been. I hope it was clear and as well explained as possible, and we look forward to working with you. Thank you very much.
Julia, it was great. If we are all over achievers, probably we all want 120, as you were saying. So let's see. All right.
You.
So thank you very much for that. So after listening to Enrico, Anja, and Julia, now we have Belkize Tozi from the Albanian Institute of Transport that she's telling us everything that theoretically they've explained to us, these three wonderful speakers. She's going to tell us how it worked for them, okay? So Belkize, we are ready for you.
Okay, hello everyone. I'm sharing my screen now. Okay, can you see it?
Perfect.
Okay. So this is the experience of Albanian Institute of Transport designing the strategy, the InCircle national strategy. So about Albania, in 2019, the population of Albania was approximately 2.8 million, while only in July and August of that year, we welcomed about 1.5 million tourists. But in winter, in all the 3 winter months altogether, tourists arriving in Albania were around 200,000. So why we need a strategy to support the sustainable and circular tourism? Well, first, because in Albania, there was no strategy or any legal framework that is based on circular economy. And second, this high tourism pressure has some negative effects on the available resources and the quality of the environment. So the sustainable development, especially in the sector of tourism, which integrates with almost all the other tourisms, is of a high necessity. So hence, by using the operational model toolkit, we wanted to obtain a national strategy in the sense of identifying ways on how to address these issues. The first step is the context analysis, which helped us to identify where we stand, as Enrico said, in the terms of tourism, mobility, energy, and waste. So for us, waste management is the biggest environmental challenge that is in Albania. Right now, landfills are currently seen as the most appropriate midterm solution, though there are some other existing solutions like recycling and incineration, but in very low prevalence. About energy, the top three energy waste are oil, hydropower, and imported electricity. And the transport sector is the one that consumes most of this energy. About sustainable mobility, there is no official obligation for local authorities to develop a sustainable urban mobility plan. And electromobility is in its first steps in Albania. So until 2018, there were about 137 electric vehicles and only 18 charging points, mainly in the capital, Tirana. About water management, Albania has an abundance of clean water resources. The supply for drinking water comes mainly from natural springs and groundwater, except the urban area of Tirana and the tourist area of Kavaja. So the next step is the governance, which is central for the InCircle, since all the project activities are based on the stakeholders' involvement. Our stakeholder working group consisted on Albanian Association of Municipalities, Albanian Tourist Tour Operators Association, Transport Planning and Development Department, Urban Planning and Development Department, Waste Management Department, Energy Department, Environment Policies Department, Tourism Policies and Strategies Department, Tourist Guides and Tour Operators, and environmental non-governmental organizations. The third step, the design of the strategy, is a crucial point to activate and consult the stakeholder working group. So in the first meeting of stakeholder working group, resulted in the identification of bottlenecks and opportunities. So the main bottlenecks for Albania are the lack of awareness for circular economy and circular tourism, and also lack of policies and infrastructure to support the shift of businesses going circular. While the main opportunities are there have been some legal changes on the environment, and there is a great potential of natural capital. While in the second stakeholder working group meeting, we identified the vision for Albania. So from the visions, we could later create the objective that we want to have till 2030. So for some visions that resulted from the stakeholder working group meeting about mobility are all vehicles are electric within 2030, a thought-through network of charging points of electric vehicles, to be a special chapter of circular economy transport in the National Transport Plan, and the cycling network that connects rural areas with the cities. And the objective derived from mobility is the transition to a greener, smarter, and more resilient mobility system in Albania. About water management, our vision was public fresh water supply in all the territory, clear rivers and lakes with safe drinking water, and clean watersheds to be abundant populations of fish and aquatic wildlife. The objective for water is performance improvement of the efficiency and quality of water supply and storage service. About waste management, the vision was to recycle all the waste, to have clean beaches, to food packaging to be only using recycling materials, zero plastic, and all food waste to be composted. The objective was environmental management of waste through the prevention and minimization of waste and the reduction of negative impacts from its generation by improving the waste management system and resource use efficiency. About energy, the vision was solar energy to become more popular among private tourism businesses and industries. to have resident buildings and hotels to implement the project of solar roofs, and 100% of energy to come from renewable energy sources. The objective is to facilitate the harnessing of Albania's significant renewable energy resources, in particular the hydroelectric power plants, biomass, and biofuel resources. In the third meeting, there were the ideas that derived from the objectives. Out of almost 20 measures that our strategy has, I choose to show only some of them, such as the extension of the promenades and the bicycle lanes connecting tourist centers, the development and implementation of the plan for charging station infrastructure network in the main routes of Albania, establishing a dedicated renewable energy agency, expanding the network access to safe and quality water supply for the population, all the population, and expanding the access of the population connected to the sewage system. The last step is monitoring, evaluation, and sources for funding. So through operation model, we managed to identify this potential source of funding, such as the national sources, the regional sources, such as Instrument for Pre-Accession Assistance and European Bank for Reconstruction and Development. Municipal sources too, and private and multilateral sources like Albanian Development Fund, private companies and operators, Authority of the Water Supply and Wastewater Disposal and Treatment Sector, and the Energy Efficiency Agency. So this was a very brief presentation of our strategy. I hope you got an overview of what it included. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah, it was quite clear in terms of it, in each part of the process, how you were able to accomplish and the different ideas and bottlenecks also that you have identified to be able to solve and move forward. So I think that is specifically helpful for others that are perhaps thinking on embarking on this process and learning from it. So now is the time for participants, for academia, destinations, for people who are not part of InCircle project to actually post questions that you might be interested in. Let me tell you before I open for questions that after the second session, where we will be learning about the other toolkits that the project has on circular tourism indicators and the experience that the territories have done in moving forward in that direction, there is a last session on the methodology, on the actual call for replicating territories. So there probably you also have questions there. So concerning what we've heard so far, the operational model toolkit, the participatory process toolkit, the evaluation, strategy evaluation toolkit, are there any questions for the speakers? You can open your mic, you can type on the chat, whichever method you prefer. Okay, if you don't have questions, while you warm up a bit, I'm going to be asking questions, okay? So, Belkize, I'm going to be asking you, since you are the destination here, what would you say that were a bit of perhaps the barriers that you had to overcome to get the stakeholders together? Mostly because you've even done it in a quite difficult situation, because it was the pandemic, so it's not the nicest time of the year and period of the world actually to accomplish it. So if you can tell us in terms of barriers that came through the process and how you were able to solve it, to convince the stakeholders that this was relevant for them to be part of.
So first, I would say the best advice is to contact as many stakeholders as you can, because though it might seem that there is not a lot of awareness about circular economy, there is a great interest of knowing about it. And well, the barriers were because we had to have to hold the meetings online. The technology was a bit of an issue, but it's because of the capacity building tool, the meetings were very smooth and the stakeholders were very engaged and feeling they were being heard and were participating by their idea generation and their visions. Especially the vision one was quite nice because we didn't focus on realistic things, just what would you like to achieve.
That's a great, I would say, recommendation, right? Trying to focus on something that is feasible, mostly when you're talking to the private sector, that I'm the private sector, I'm a private company also, and we want results because we need results, right? So I understand that perspective. In that sense, from your experience, Enrico, Anja, perhaps you can bring in some of other barriers that you think that were overcome by other partners, perhaps in that part of developing the strategy, on how to move forward despite the situation.
I think what worked well, Nagore, was to get stakeholders engaged since the beginning, to start contacting them when the project started, to get them acquainted with the project, to make them feel part of it. Because of course, as you were pointing out, as Belkize was pointing out as well, the COVID pandemic didn't help us, of course, because meetings were held online. But this kind of timing of directly contacting stakeholders, talk with them, not just send them some emails, would you like to be, but to get them engaged and be present, follow them, keep them updated. This worked definitely very well.
Thank you very much for your input. Anything that you would like to add, Enrico, perhaps?
Not really. Well, it worked very well. I'm talking about what it was in the definition of the operational model was the fact that it was all written during the pandemic, so from the start of the pandemic. So we actually had time to read what was done before. So we had there, and what we discovered is that there is a lot of knowledge about this and about this thing. And yeah, what I really hope is that especially the operational model will bring in a very simple way all the necessary steps. What I really liked was the checklist that is part of the document, and it's something that it seems very simple. It seems very I don't know, maybe too much simple, but I think that it's really something that was missing. That okay, I want to do this. I want to implement this strategy for my territory. So in one page and in a document, in one page you have all the things that you have to do, and in more than 20 you have all the elements that you need to take into consideration.
That's a great input. So if I kind of sum up, the idea is contacting stakeholders as soon as possible, following the quick to use recipe that you have created for them, and having this direct contact with them, even in small groups, as Belkize was saying, so that they can actually own the process and feel that their words are taken into account, and stick to actual feasible and realistic goals that the different people that you are working together, you can accomplish, so that the hopes are down to earth, I would say, no?
Can I add a suggestion?
Sure, go ahead.
After listening to Enrico's suggestions, what we can suggest for those organizations that would like to join us is to then, when they are developing the strategy, to kind of establish an interdisciplinary, interdepartmental working team. Because InCircle project, it's not dealing just with tourism, which is, as it is, as a transversal sector, but it's dealing with different pillars, you know. So competencies and skills and knowledge and data from other departments are useful, are needed if you really want to write and elaborate an effective strategy. You know, otherwise some parts might be missing. This is something that you should take into account since strategy development, you know, to have the right people on board, not just from the external world, but from the internal organization as well.
Absolutely. Great advice. Having knowledge around, very important. Hopefully, if it is within the organization, even probably better. It's not always possible, but it can be achieved for many destinations, I would imagine. So our participants, we're 57 people, but nobody's asking any questions. So I'm going to be moving to, in the chat, I'm going to be putting Mentimeter again. Okay, so that we can move into a couple more questions. All right, before we do the break slightly sooner, and we continue, because I suspect that probably the questions are more concerning on Gemma's presentation and specifically the call, I would imagine. So please participate in this link. Okay. So I'll show them a screen again. You're going to see first the results that we had before. So 16 people participated, saying that they didn't have a sustainability strategy. Quite a few now are responding here again. Well, so the next question would be, which words come to your mind when you think about circular tourism? Be inspired. I should insist that InCircle project partners should not be participating because you're experts in the matter.
Right. The link you sent, the most recent one, is for the previous question. For the.
But if you move forward.
Yes, you're right. Yes, yeah. Yes, thank you. Apologies.
It's the same link, it's the same presentation. It just goes forward and you can get, thank you, Julia. So there we go. Right. Sustainability. Recycling, efficiency, reasonable. I like that, reasonable. Within reach, it makes sense. Okay, so environment, reuse, green, recycle, efficiency, bikes, upcycling, and there's an expert, I would say. Natural resources, attractiveness, local businesses, nature. Okay. Reuse again, taking forests, no waste. That's a good principle. All year round, preserving water, 0 kilometer food. Yeah, so concentrating on our own resource. Preserve natural resources, environmental protection, environmentally friendly. Communities, biofuels, there's a long way there, pretty interesting. Well, so it's pretty clear the central one is sustainability and recycling, no waste, efficiency, kind of the mayor repeated words along the process. Thank you for participating on this. We still have more people joining the session, okay? I'll give you more minute to participate. If anybody is having an issue to participate, let me know. But as you can see, you can follow the link that I gave, or you can go to menti.com and use the code that you see on the screen. That's the other way to do it. But okay, thank you for that. We're gonna go to the next question, which is, which do you think are the main barriers to develop circular tourism in your destination or in your company? We say both destination and company because perhaps some of you are actual tourism companies. So that's why we are leaving that open. What do you think are the main barriers? Finance. We only have one brave person so far. Okay. Moving forward. Business greed, politics, ignorance. All right. Convince the stakeholders, pretty strong. I would agree with that one also. Lack of funding, so pretty related to finance. Lack of information, strong will. Motivation, resistance to change. So quite a lot of soft skills actually, like soft barriers, which are usually hard barriers in the end if we are not able to change our mindsets. Politicians' commitment, that's a good one. Tourism dependent economy, politicians' commitment, convince the stakeholders, lack of promotion, mentality. So you're pretty much active on the barriers part. Okay, so second session speakers, be pretty motivational, please, because we're being much more active on barriers rather than on the actual concept. So negative mindset, limited resources, resistance to change. So economic actors, stakeholders, incomplete value chain, trends market, collaboration, interest. Okay, so quite a lot is about people actually willing to do that and knowing about it and what it entails, because the financial part it's clearly there. Quite a few of you are pointing it out, but actually wanting to do it, quite relevant. Yeah. I agree. Okay, so thank you very much for this. So if you allow me, it's 11:23. What if we take a break and we come back at 11:30? Okay, try to be on time so that we keep our pace and we. Well, you can follow the session and then go back to your tasks. So let's see each other at 11:30. Okay, so I'm not going to be closing the Zoom. I remind you that we're going to be having a second session where we're going to be hearing about destinations and well, actually the experience of the actual work and toolkits that InCircle has produced for you to be able to measure the circularity in your destination and company, of course, and how that worked in reality in different partners. And later on, we're going to have another partner explaining the call for replicating territories. Okay, so don't leave us, and see you at 11:30. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, welcome back. So I'm gonna wait a bit and we can move forward to the second session. Okay, the second session, it's called Circular Tourism Indicators, Knowledge Platform, and Circular Demonstrators. So here we're going to be learning a bit about the work done actually into measuring but also kind of demonstrating specifically on the different pillars on how to move forward in terms of circularity. So within that session, the first thing that I want to do is share with you again a very kind of motivating video that InCircle has created specifically to, well, make this understandable also for different audiences.
Are you a tourism actor wishing to be more circular and sustainable? We support you in replicating InCircle approach in your territory. InCircle is a project aimed at boosting the sustainability of tourist destinations and businesses in the Mediterranean. InCircle focuses on 5 principles of circular economy. Have a look at our InCircle knowledge platform, where you will find tools to help develop your circular economy strategy. The InCircle project provides the circular tourism tools to assess the current circularity status of your area of business and develop proper circular strategies. They're available in 2 versions, one for tourist destinations and another for tourism businesses. The tools consist in the Circular Tourism Tools form, to be filled in with qualitative and quantitative data. A circular tourism destination datasheet of best practices to improve the circular performance, and a circular tourism tools guidelines document explaining how to use these tools. By applying these tools, you will be easily aware about your path to become a tourist actor, able to capture the competitive advantages arising from the circular economy framework. Preserving the quality and availability of natural resources, as well as ensuring a high quality of life of residents and tourists. This is the aim of the InCircle project for the present and future generations.
Well, wonderful, quite clear. I would imagine that some of our participants are already checking online the knowledge platform, perhaps to see what's there already available to be able to browse around content. So as I mentioned before, we are in our second session, Circular Tourism Indicators, Knowledge Platform, and Circular Demonstrators. So if it could be that Tiziano Marradi, Institute of Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna, Toscana, Italy, if you could explain us the circular tourism indicators, it would be lovely.
Thank you, Nagore. I'm sharing my screen. Okay, can you see it?
Perfect, yes, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm Tiziano Marradi, one of the researchers from the Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna that with my colleagues Natalia Gusmerotti, Serena Carlesi, and Tiziana Iannuzzi developed the circular tourist tools. But before deepening into these aspects, I would like to give you a quick introduction. So where we stand, where our work stands within the InCircle project. As Fabio stated at the beginning of this presentation, the InCircle project provides several lists of objectives, and one of these is precisely the adoption of a common set of indicators to measure circularity in the tourist destination. So to reach this goal, we started from the circular economy framework to develop a list of circularity indicators. that we then transformed into the first version of the circular tourism tools that we used to assess the circularity of all 10 InCircle partners and 2 tourism industries. Then, thanks to this phase of assessment and to the feedback received from all the partners, we developed a new, updated, and easier to use version of the circular tourism tools that I'm going to present you. But now, what will you gain from measuring your circularity performance with the circular tourism tools? First of all, a picture of your sustainability and circularity performance, and this will increase your awareness of where to start to improve your performance and to become even more competitive and resilient. But moreover, measuring can help you to make strategic choices, to reduce your impact on the environment, to gain visibility and distinctiveness through the measuring, through communication of the results from measuring, but even to respond to a more environmentally conscious demand from the tourism actors and from tourists. So now, how to obtain these benefits, how to measure your circularity performance? The answer is with the circular tourism tools. So these tools are based on the 5 InCircle principles. So innovate or be creative, create and adopt new solution, rethink or think out of the business as usual perspective and adopt a life cycle perspective, or reduce all sorts of waste and close the loop, regenerate and restore environmental assets as well as human well-being, and revalue, maintain as long as possible the value of the resources. Then, alongside with these 5 principles, the tools are based even on 4 aspects that considers humans and individuals, the presence of proper infrastructure, society and social aspects, and of course, natural resources. So we mixed this principle and these aspects, all seen through the lenses of the collaborative capacity that must exist among groups to develop 2 versions of the circular tools. Version to assess in the tourist destination, and 1 version to assess the circularity in the 4 main types of tourism industries: accommodation, campsites, food and beverage services, and tour operators. So these are the aspects that I referred to earlier. For example, humans and individuals, which means circular awareness or recreation opportunities or satisfaction level on the action undertaken by the tourist destination or the tourism industries. Infrastructure, which means waste, water, transport, or energy infrastructure. Natural resources and the quality of the natural resources in the area, so quality of air, the presence of marine litter, and again, wastewater or energy management. And of course, society, with aspects like participation level, social and inclusive tourism, localism, or strategies development. So the circular tourism tools are in form of an Excel file and consists in a list of about 40-50 questions or qualitative data. Each question is linked to a principle and to an aspect. To give you some example, 1 question could be, has the tourist destination adopted a monitoring plan based of the share of renewable energy in your final consumption? In this case, the answer is simply yes or no. And this question is linked to reduce principle and to aspect, natural resources aspect. Another question could be, which is the percentage of the population connected to drinkable water services? In this case, the answer is a percentage, so a more punctual data. And this question is linked to regenerate principle and to infrastructure aspects. So now what will you get from the circular tourism tool? First of all, a circular tourism performance expressed in a percentage level that indicates your level of circularity, starting from a beginning concerned, which means that you are starting to become aware of the role of circular tourism or circular economy in tourism, to highly circular, which means that you are a real pioneer, a real front runner of circularity in tourism. And of course, this is the level that we all hope you will be able to reach after the assessment. Moreover, you will get an overview of your performance for each single question and a collaboration level results that indicates your to collaborate with your stakeholders and the other tourism actors. Because of course, circular tourism cannot exist without a strong collaboration, a strong commitment among all tourism actors. Then you will obtain even a data set of best practices from all over the world that you can consult to find the best practice that most suited to you and to adopt for improving your performance. So now let's stop for a minute. I know so far I spoke about data, I spoke about numbers, I spoke about questions, but please keep calm and don't be scared like the guy in this picture, because all partners did it. And this is the result, 40% average performance, which means beginning proactivists. That is absolutely a good result considering that it was their first assessment. So, of course, all the circular tourism tools will be put online and will be freely available for you. But if you will join in the InCircle project, you will have a strategic support during the compilation of this tool and will obtain a report with customized suggestions to improve your performance. So I know I hope I convinced some of you, but in case I failed, I leave the floor to Nagore and to the Albanian Institute of Transport that I'm sure will convince you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tiziano. I like that picture, like, oh my God, I was scared. But I think that you saw that it was feasible and that, as you said, that other partners have been able to do it. So thank you for that. That empathy was good. Thank you for that. So next speaker would be Belkize again, Belzike Tozi, Albanian Institute of Transport, and she's going to be explaining the results of the assessment that they obtained. So again, Belkize, the floor is yours.
Okay, hello again. So I'm sharing my screen. Okay, so this time, I will tell you about the experience of Albanian Institute of Transport with the circular assessment report. But first, I must say that I will present the results that derive from the first application of the version of the tool that, one of the tools that Tiziano explained, not the updated one. So why we went for the circularity assessment? Well, we wanted to provide a measure of the state of the art of tourism in Albania. And these results are from the year 2019. Out of 54 questions in the checklist, we could not provide any data to 8 of them. And we could give a proper answer or a partial answer to all the 46 ones. So in the end of the assessment, Albania identifies as proactivist with a global index of 41%, which means that we have already undertaken a circularity path of development. And Albania is aware of the role that circular economy in tourism sector can be used to lever the economic development and the restoration and regeneration of the environment. So the circular performance was per capita and per principle. This is our result for per capitals. We performed quite well in the natural capital, which was which was also identified as an opportunity from our stakeholders. We perform quite well in the social capital too, and there is a lot of margins for improvement from the human capital. So in the end of the assessment, this is what we got. We could perform better if we had a better data collection of such aspects that right now are not being measured, such as the amounts spent on awareness campaigns on circular economy issues for residents and for tourism industries, and also measuring some aspects regarding the satisfaction of tourists, residents, and tourism industries on the circular tourism activities and actions. Further implementation of actions on infrastructure, such as the renovation of electricity network and waste treatment plants and sewage system, would also result in a better performance, especially in the built capital. And we also must undertake a deeper effort on protecting and conserving coastal zones, marine litter projects, renewable energy, and recycling and recover. So what's next for us? The first moves to improve our performance is raising awareness, to contact our tourism actors and knowing their opinion, to develop policies on energy efficiency in buildings, to maintain and improve the critical issues concerning the preservation of the natural resources, and to integrate on a higher level of circular economy aspects in developing tourism strategies, by implementing initiatives and by adopting strategies and action plans to become a sustainable and circular tourism destination. So our circular performance per principle is this. We performed quite well on regenerate and reduce, and there's a lot to improve on revalue. So just a couple of recommendations, suggestions we got from the circular performance per principle is we should implement the percentage of separate waste recycled, and the number of waste prevention initiatives. And we should also increase investments in mitigation systems to preserve the natural capital and ecosystems. So this is just a very brief overview of our report. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, because you help us see that actually it's feasible, that you can actually do it. So hopefully others can do it as well, and outperform also colleagues. Huh? So very good. Thank you very much for that. Very clear. So Fabrizia, Salvi from Area Science Park. She's going to be explaining to us the knowledge platform. So Fabrizia, go ahead.
Yes, good morning. So I hope you can see my presentation now.
Not yet?
Not yet. Okay, just a second. Is it okay now?
Yes, if you move to full the
yes.
Yeah, perfect.
Yes, it takes a while. So last but not least, let me briefly introduce you to our online repository, which is actually much more than that. Our knowledge platform, it's a real showcase where you can find a lot of opportunities to apply circular economy principles in tourism in your destination, and not only, also in your business. Why not? So you can find best practices covering all the 4 pillars, which by now have been mentioned a few times. So I'm sure that you're now quite familiar with the sustainable mobility, waste and water management, and energy efficiency and renewable energy sources. So you are the target of the knowledge platform. It's there for policymakers, tourism stakeholders, tourism business operators. And as you will see, it is a very good tool to support you in several possible ways that you can take to implement circularity in your destination, identifying circular economy sustainable solutions, being a one-stop shop for the replication phase, which my colleague Gemma will explain later on, and also self-assessing the sustainability of your policies and practices as they are now. So let's surf together on the knowledge platform. Just I hope you can see it now, how it is structured. This is our homepage.
No, we are seeing the presentation, but we're not seeing online.
Yep. You're not seeing it online. Okay, because I have the link working and it is actually on for me, but it's not on.
Probably because you shared perhaps the presentation and not your full screen. Because we are only seeing the full screen of the part.
Okay, because actually it says that I am sharing my screen. So let's try something different now.
I'm going to remove you from sharing and you're going to start again.
Okay, sorry for that.
No problem. These things happen.
Okay.
Perfect.
Is it visible? Perfect. Okay. So as you can see, we have several sections in our knowledge platform. This is the home page where you can also share your experience up to now. You have the 4 pillars and you have our featured best practices. We have quite a few that we are still collecting, which have taken place not only in partner territories, but more in general in the Med area and also farther on in Europe. You can see that the best practices are organized by typology, policy instruments, concrete solutions, tools and methodologies, and others. I'll also show you here something more about the best practices. You can also search by field of activity, by country, by organization type, by keyword, by budget. So you can get a lot of inspiration. You can see where the best practices are mainly located with the white little man, you know, taking a hike, very sustainable way to approach a destination, while the green little signs will show you where our pilot projects are actually taking place, pilot sites here. So you can see here the display of best practices, and we'll be very happy if you also want to share something with us that we can put on display here. Then, as I mentioned, we have the pilot sites, 5 implemented by our partners, which are municipalities, Larnaca in Cyprus, we have Himara in Albania, we have Gozo, Kerchem in Malta, and we have Retimno in Crete, actually having 2 pilot sites at the moment, and Palma de Mallorca. And then we have the replication toolkit, which will now has been illustrated today by my colleagues. Here you can see some more information about the replication phase, which will be explained in detail by Gemma after me. You have also the link to find all the related documents for the call, and you have all the toolkits which compose the replication toolkit. So this is why we say this is a sort of one-stop shop where you can find everything. Actually, not really everything. The summary of strategies won't be available yet because the strategies are still being finalized by our regional and national partners, but they will soon be available as all the other information, which are also being translated in all the partners and program languages. So you will have the possibility to access the information in your own language as well. And here you get all the contacts. So you can contact MedCities, who is the partner in InCircle responsible for the replication. You can contact ARIA and all the technical partners, which might be in your region, country, or maybe that you know and you would like to talk with them and to have some more information. So I will now go back to my presentation. I hope you can see it. Now, probably I have to stop the sharing and start it again. I guess you still see the website, right?
Yes.
Okay. So it is just a very few words left to say, just a sort of reminder for you. What are the aims of the knowledge platform? You can see sharing knowledge, smart solutions, successful models and tools which have been applied around Europe, which could be of interest for you. Finding new skills, thinking about possible solutions, learning from others. So that's why you find there best practices, methods, tools, knowledge, which you can apply in tourism in your destination. If you want to make it more circular, we would really like to enhance the transferring and capitalizations for InCircle and also for other projects which have been implemented in the framework of the MED program, and not only. We would like you to find some possible solutions to your problems, some models which you can replicate, also pilot initiatives that you can replicate and take inspiration from. And let's not forget the very important self-assessment tool. Tiziano, our colleague from Scuola Superiore Sant'Anna, have described the circularity indicators and the tool which have been applied to the project partners. Now, the self-assessment tool will be made available online on the knowledge platform starting from September. So even if you won't be, by an unlucky coincidence, not a replicator of InCircle, you can still know how sustainable, how circular you are, where you are standing now in the circularity model that you have seen, and you can start from there and build a strategy that will allow you to fill in the gaps and improve your performance. Then you can take the test again and see how you performed, how you improved. You will also have access to the data set of best practices to guide you in this process. And of course, you can always contact us. We are more than happy to spread the knowledge and to help as many destinations as possible to make the Med area circular. So let us know what you are doing, share it with InCircle, with the Med and the extended sustainable tourism Med community. And so we hope that we can capitalize and transfer at the maximum what we have tested, what you have tested. So please keep note of the knowledge platform website address and keep in touch. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Fabrizia. This is again an opportunity for the audience to bring in questions with your mic open, through the chat, whichever format you prefer. So anybody that wants to be brave and break the ice in terms of questions, that there again later after this we're gonna do a Mentimeter, and then MedCities is gonna be presenting the call for replicating territories, and there'll be opportunity to make questions there about the call specifically. But in case you have questions you want to ask specifically on circular tourism indicators and how that works, what kind of support perhaps the partners can give you if you decide to join in, or so no questions on chat. So I'll ask a question. So how can, if I would be a territory, how does it happen? Imagine that I'm a small, so I apply and we are a county, we're a few municipalities, this one that is kind of big one, but the rest of us, we're kind of smaller. How would it happen for us to measure circularity when we do not have a university nearby or so? What kind of a support can we have in that sense? Perhaps joining forces with the big city in our territory, or how does that happen? How is it feasible for us to embark on this process? I don't know if this is something that Tiziano can respond, or Belkize, or Fabrizia, or anybody else from the project.
I know to I try to give a first response. Of course, the assessment is based on the performance of a singular, let's say, municipality, rather than a singular region or nation. But in the process of updating the tool, we modified it in a way that it could be easier possible even for the municipalities or for the smaller entities. Okay, so we think that even if they do not join in the project and conduct the assessment and use the tool on the online platform, they will be easily able to obtain a result and a performance, and of course in the same time consult the data set of best practices. So in these data sets there are a lot of best practices related to singular municipalities, as well as regions or nations. So all the, let's say, 3 levels, municipal, regional, and national levels are included in these best practices, and a small municipality can easily find the best practices that is more suited to their context.
Understood. So we can make it then, even if we are small, very small. All right. So in the opposite case, I guess it would be much easier, no? Because perhaps a city or a county that had a university interested in this topic and they join forces to be a replicating territory, I would imagine that the support that the project gives is more of a guidance in case they have doubts to follow the toolkit, right? And for them to be able to go measuring and have, you know, some meetings to evaluate progress and such, right?
Yeah, of course, there are some guidelines that explain you how to use the tools. And one thing is that these tools, of course, are related to many aspects than a single municipality, but even a region or a nation should collaborate with other actors to find proper data to collect and to put into these tools. So the tools requires collaboration among actors that probably they are not used to collaborate between each other. So we think that this aspect is an important aspect that the tool reinforce the collaboration among actors, even in the same territory.
Yeah, I understand. It's what Anja was pointing out before, right? So in the sense that probably if you are from the tourism sector, you might have not had any contact with the energy department or transportation, yes, but waste department or water agency in your territory, and you need to become friends for this measuring and for this strategy and so we have to break barriers there.
It's an opportunity even for small municipalities to do
absolutely, so. Absolutely. Small, probably they know each other, but they've never worked together. So, Belkize, can you elaborate on that, how it happened for you? Well, you're in a transport entity, so I guess that transport and tourism, you were already collaborating. So how did it happen with the other agents in your destination? How was that process of getting together and so?
I actually forgot to mention that the circular assessment is a good opportunity to identify more stakeholders and to contact them, you know, face to face. And it is also very important because this is when different stakeholders, like from energy, waste, as you said, realize where they stand in the project, realize that this is not, the tourism is not separate. So we don't have to involve only the tourism policies department, but also the waste management and water management. So yeah, this, and it was their collaborations, the collaboration with stakeholders was very, very helpful for the assessment. Because we were a nation, we had to contact ministries and some organizations, non-governmental organizations or research organizations that might have done some research previously. And also desk research, but without the stakeholders, it's very difficult.
I would imagine, yes. And then probably getting to the data at the local level and say, hey, but we need the data on, I don't know, water consumption Monday to Thursday and then Friday to Sunday. Which is like, what? Why do we need so disaggregated, so granular? So yeah, I understand. But as you're pointing out, it's a process of people speaking to people and explaining why it's relevant and perfect, understood. Anybody that wants to ask a question to the project partners? Yeah.
Hello, Joan. I'm working for the region Provence of Côte d'Azur, region South. I have a question concerning the language. I'm afraid you French were not very good at speaking in English. So this knowledge platform, all the tools you were talking about are quite interesting, but I'm afraid that it's a real barrier for us. All data you have and all you are providing.
Désolé. Ce que vous voulez dire, c'est si l'information c'est en français aussi?
Right.
Don't worry, because we are translating all the documents in French. I mentioned that earlier, but maybe I said so many things. We're translating the documents in the partners and in the program languages. So they will be, the main documents will all be available also in French. And this is to support the destinations, because we are well aware that the tools are quite, in a way, we explain them in a, hopefully in a very immediate and clear way, but they might be a little bit complicated when you go through a document of maybe 25 pages, but they will be available also in French. In case you cannot find them or you have any problem, you can contact us. Okay, there is all the emails, but they will be there in French. And also in other languages, in Greek, in Spanish, in Catalan, in Slovene, in Croatian, in Portuguese. I hope I covered them all, more or less. Yeah.
Italian, probably.
Sorry. So we hope that we can reach as many destinations as possible and give you as many clear information and support as possible this way.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, my video is not working. Can you hear me clearly?
We hear you a bit breaking out. It's a bit complicated because we don't understand the full sentence. So it's like a few words.
Okay, well, I just concerning practical point of view. I mean, the calendar does it take to apply different tools and the minimum of assessment necessary to before the for the project. I don't know if you can hear to me.
Yeah, I think you're asking about the calendar in terms of when to apply to be a replicating territory and all of that.
And how long does it take when you start the work? I mean, 3 months, 4 months, 6 months.
Okay.
The assessment.
Can you bear with us on, I don't know, like 10 more minutes, because a colleague of us now, Gemma Torres from MedCities, is going to be presenting that. Okay, so she's going to be giving all the details on the call for replicating territories, how to do that, and how long does it take, the different phases, and all of that. So thank you for that. Thank you for that question. And we will respond to that in a couple of minutes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else that wants to ask any question before we move into the call for replicating territories? Okay, so Gemma, I think that everyone wants to listen to you. So Gemma Torres from MedCities, she'll be presenting the methodology to follow for the replicating territories to actually apply to get to be one. So the floor is yours.
Okay, can you see my full screen now?
Yes.
Perfect. Just 1 second. Okay. So, well, I hope you are still all here and awake. I'm going to present the call for replicating territories, which I hope it's of your interest, and I hope all of you apply for. So what are we looking for? We are looking for Mediterranean tourism destinations which are interested in circular tourism and who are developing or want to develop a sustainable tourism strategy. So what will you obtain? Why should you become a replicating territory? Well, this will be an 8 months period. After this period, the idea is that you will have well, the idea, no, you will have adapted or developed your own sustainable tourism strategy. You will also have implemented a tailor-made testing activity, because as I will explain you later, we want to make this process very adapted to the needs of your territory. So we would like you to have something tangible and some activity that is in line with your strategy and can help you towards it. You will also have made available to your tourism business a measurement tool. So this circular economy tool that Tiziano was presenting. So the idea is that this tool also paves the way for your tourism business in the transition towards their own, their own transition towards a circular economy. You will also have become autonomous in the process of making your strategy, and you will have learned not only from your own experience, but also from the experience of the other territories. So this is the other 10, the other 5 replicating territories and the 5 territories who implemented all this process in this first phase. And you will also have mainstream your results. So you will be able to inspire other territories, and also, which is quite important, position yourself and as an example of territory that is promoting the sustainability and circularity on your tourism sector. Okay, so the objective of the replicating territories, as I said, it will be create or adapt a territorial strategy to increase the circularity and sustainability of your tourism. Of tourism in your territory. And the idea is that you can help to support the relaunch of the sector in this post-COVID era, which can be an opportunity of rethinking the way we do tourism and the way we want to think our future touristic sector. So to do this, you will develop your own strategies. As I said, you will do this by using the InCircle tools that you have seen. You will also have the support of the experts who developed them, who you just met, and the support of the territories who have already developed their own strategy. You will also implement supporting and tangible tailor-made activities to tackle the specific needs of your territory. So as I was saying, the idea is that all this process is very, very adapted to your needs. Of course, we have these tools, and this is what they are. They are tools, and the idea is that they can adapt to the needs of your territory, that we get to know each other, that we see which type of activities complementary to the strategy we could implement to help you go to help you accomplish your objectives and that tackle your specific needs. So this is our will. So how much money do we have for each replicating territory? The budget is between 35,000 and 38,000 euros for each one of the 6 replicating territories. This covers all costs for InCircle's activities, which I will detail a little bit more later, and you will be able to see it better in the application form. In the application webpage. So this covers all of InCircle's activities, like hiring of experts, travel and accommodation, expenses of the tailor-made testing activities, etc. You should notice that this is not directly managed by the territory. The procedure we will follow is that each one of the replicating territories is coupled with a technical partner from InCircle, and this is, well, with this process we make sure about this adaptability that we were saying, that we become the link between the experts and the background of InCircle and the new implementation. And this technical partner is also the one that will manage the budget according to the needs of the territory, of course. So the contribution of the replicating territories to the budget will only be human resources. So here I specify a little bit more. From you, what we will need is mainly motivation and commitment. As we were saying, no, this is a process that will require a lot of learning from each other. So we need you to be motivated and communicate with us so that we can support you and adapt the activities to your need. We want to work hand to hand for the in-time implementation of the activities, and this of course requires commitment from your side as well. So ideally 2 to 3 public officers should be engaged with the project. Ideally one manager, and the rest, if possible, technicians from different departments would be great, no? So that we have this very holistic view and different ways of doing of the organization. You will need to do some data information and digging, as I'm aware, I guess you already suspected from the previous presentations. And you will need to engage your public and private touristic sector, because as you saw, is one of the bases of the strategy development. And you will need to work together with them for the adaptation or the creation of this tourism strategy. So which are the activities that you will enroll to if you become a replicating territory? Before October 2021, you will have either, we will have this activity of identification of your needs, as we were saying, so that we make sure that we are online, that we have these common objectives, that the objectives are in line with the own objectives of the territory, that we define which kind of experts we need for the process, we start the hiring of such experts, etc. And also before October 2021, you will have enrolled to this InCircle school. This school will be most probably online. In this school, the idea is that you get a first hint, well, not a first because you got it today, a second hint and more in-depth hint of how are you going to use the tools, who is going to help you, which doubts you may have, the first impression, so that we also get to know each other, you get to know between yourself. So yeah. And afterwards, before May 2022, you will have made the assessment of the circularity of your territory, and you will have obtained the recommendations so that this can be a baseline of your strategy. And you will have developed your own sustainable tourism strategy. So this will include all the drafting, the organization of the stakeholder working group, so that you can see the point of view of all the sector, and you can construct together this strategy. And of course, you will have had these peer review sessions and study visits, hopefully COVID allowing, with the technical partners that will support you with the implementation of the tools, and the institutional partners, the territories that have implemented in this first phase the tools, so that they can help you in the more practical terms. And finally, you will have also implemented by the end of May 2022 this tailor-made activity that will help you as a complementary activity to the strategy. So who can apply for the call? Well, single cities and municipalities cannot apply to the present call. Apart from this, we have a very wide range of organizations that can apply. So from provincial councils, counties, delegation, metropolitan authorities, groups of municipalities, regions, etc. You will have all this information available, of course, in a webpage that we will share with you. So we will select 6 replicating territories. We are welcoming up to 2 non-European territories. This will be from the territories that are eligible for the NECVC Med program, plus Morocco and Turkey. So how are we? I'm not going to go through all the selection criteria, but just so that you get a glance, we have two types of criteria. First, geographic and demographic criteria. We are prioritizing islands and less populated territories that have a clear difference between the peak period and the low period, that they are touristic. And also we are prioritizing territories which have taken the first steps towards the promotion of sustainable tourism. As you can see, none of these criteria are excluding, but they all sum up points. So don't worry if you don't accomplish all of them, because you can still get a check. You can still have a chance. So under equal conditions, we will give preference to territories with lower baseline population density, which conforming administrations show interest in participating in the process of formulating a strategy and commitment to participate in the stakeholder working groups. You will see that in the application form there is an optional file that you can upload, and it's related to this point. As I said, is optional. And also territories who are not currently participating in other Interreg projects from the sustainable tourism community. As I said, this is under equal conditions. So if you get the exact same punctuation than another territory. So how can you apply? We will share the link in the chat. The application process is through a Google form. This Google form includes questions about the organization, about the applicant, about the replicating territory, so information regarding the eligibility criteria and so on. And it also includes a motivation letter. This one, it is compulsory, so in the motivation letter you will see it. Also in the webpage there is we have made the template for you to make it easier. So in the motivation letter you can state, well, you will state which is the territory applying to the call, which are the members of this territory, and which one will lead the process, which are the main challenges that you are expecting to tackle, and how would it benefit for you to participate as a replicating territory with us. And well, you will also prove political commitment. It will have to be signed by a legal representative, and of course in it you commit to provide sufficient human resources. We have also made available for you a help desk, which we really encourage you to use if you have any doubt. Well, of course now we will open a session of questions if you have any specific question right now, but please use this help desk to contact us afterwards. We can also do bilateral meetings if you are interested. If you have any doubt or would like to make some specific questions, we can organize, of course, bilateral meetings. So the application period calendar, you can start applying now. It will close on the 21st of July. During August, we will coordinate to select the replicating territories, and the idea is that early September, we are already signing with the 6 selected replicating territories this memorandum of understanding, so that we can start the process as soon as possible. So that's it from my side. Thank you. Please, if you have any question, let me know.
Yeah, this should be the moment for making a lot of questions. So on the chat, first of all, I'm gonna be saying that, insisting on, we've shared the link for the InCircle Call for Replicators or Replicating Territories webpage. There you have the rest of the links, okay? So you can read it calmly, and then you can have the information on the application form, how to apply. And in case you have doubts, you have the help desks, as Gemma was saying. So there you have info, but please, I understand the lady, I don't remember, that it starts with J. let me see if she's still here. I don't see her now. Well, the lady that you were asking us before, yeah, Joan Muset. You were asking us before about the calendar. Gemma presented it. I just wanted to ask whether you have any doubts or whether it was resolved with Gemma's presentation.
Yeah, thank you. I had problem with my computer, and so I'm sorry for the sound. If I understand well, it takes 8 months to get all the work done.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. And we have to apply before July 21st?
Yes.
Okay, it's perfect.
It will close on July 21st. So
yeah.
It's better if you apply as soon as possible. Also, because if you have, during the process of applying, if you have some doubts, we can help you with the application process.
We are a region. Do you think it's better we apply with, for instance, a park, regional park? Do we need to apply together, or the regional park is enough on itself?
I think
so. I understand.
What I understood was whether the regional park on its own can present itself, or whether the regional park with someone else. Joan, is that the question?
Yeah, do you mean it's necessary that the region has to apply with the regional park, or the regional park itself is sufficient?
Okay. Did you understand, Gemma?
Yeah, I think so. I understand that the regional park is a region, so it's formed by a smaller.
No,
it can be a park. No, just a park.
Yeah, so if it's just a park, I should check. If you can drop us a question in the help desk that Nahore put in the chat, so that we can check it. I would say if it's a park, we didn't think about that. So yeah, you can drop us this question. I would say it will depend on probably on the extension and how it is divided. For example, if it belongs to different municipalities or not. Or
yes, of course.
We should have a closer look to the specific case, because I don't think I can answer right now. In general, if parks can apply for it.
Okay, but do you think it's better if we also apply, the region applies with the park? It's better?
If the region applies, then it's eligible for sure.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, so we have a question in terms of that Alfredo believes that it's quite focused on regional governments and how companies could collaborate if they want to enroll.
Yeah, well, I would say, so regional governments are for sure totally eligible. There are other types of governments that don't need to be regional. So I show you the list, but for example, groups of municipalities, public, private consortia, ministries, metropolitan authorities can apply. So I would say if companies would like to enroll, I think this is a very good starting point. You would need to go to your local, well, yeah, to you, not local, but to the territories close to you that can apply. So supra municipal, and let them know about this call and show them. I think it's a very good step if the private sector takes the lead and show them interest on going together through all this process. So I would say that's what I would encourage you to do it. Of course, we can help you with that. We can, if you want, we can also contact them, or as we were saying, we can do one-to-one meetings. So if we can explain them personally how does this go and so on. if they have doubts.
Okay, in terms of that, if I can add, so the idea, for instance, can be if you're a private actor in a destination and you have colleagues also private that are interested, not only in your municipality, but as part of a county, you don't even have to reach the region. You can be a county of a municipality that you can be organized also, if that is feasible or easier. We have a question from Samuel Parolin. She was asking about the slides and the video, when and where will they be available? Perhaps towards the end of the week in the InCircle website, or you tell me, Gemma.
Yeah, I would say as soon as we have the video of this session available, we will put it on the website so that you can have it available and go through it again. So okay. Yeah, I would say this week.
All right. So then we have more questions on. Okay, the experts that are going to be supporting replicating territories, are they going to be members of the partnership, or are they going to be external experts that are going to be accompanying the process?
So we have both. From one side, we have the internal experts who develop the tool that will help all the territories, of course. And then we have from this budget that we mentioned for each replicating territories, of course, we can hire other experts that tackle the needs of the specific territory. So yeah, both.
Okay, thank you. Josep, perhaps you want to pose your question speaking. He said that he has a question concerning sustainable tourism strategies. Josep Rodriguez from the Med Sustainable Tourism Community.
Yeah, hello. I've got a question for Gemma. I'm Josep Rodriguez from Barcelona Provincial Council, and some of our counties could be interested in this replicating call. So my question is that it could happen that some of the territories, some of the destinations could have already a sustainable tourism strategy set up and perfectly defined. So my question is, in that case, they would be eligible. For instance, they could be interested in developing some specific measure related to circularity.
Yes, thank you, Josep. So yeah, the idea is that this process helps you either to create your strategy or to make it more circular if it already exists. So the idea is that these tools can be a step forward, no, to the strategy that they already have. So yeah, they are still eligible to adapt the strategy and make it more circular.
Okay, let's see. All right, Strinka Marusik. Hello, Strinka. Happy to read about you. So I have a question on human resources. You mentioned 2 to 3 people. One manager, does it mean part-time commitment, or does it mean, for example, a person from a tourism board, regional government? So how does that work in terms of commitment of people? Hello.
Hello.
Yes, so yeah, no, it is not full-time. It's not 2-3 people full-time. I would say maybe some of the institutional partners that are here can provide more insight about more or less well, of course, for them it occupied a bit more time because there were also the development and the implementation of the pilots, but yeah, the idea is that it is part-time, 2 or 3. The thing that to make it 2 or 3 is because we think that it's always more more holistic, no? If different departments are involved, it doesn't. Ideally, for example, from the tourism board, there should be someone, but for example, from our territories, not all of them. Well, no, yeah, what they do. So there should be someone from the tourism board probably, but it's not established, meaning that you will need to specify during the application form who would you like to enroll. But of course, again, this will be depending on the needs of your territory. For example, if you feel your strategy lacks, I don't know, mainly the water management of the municipality or the whatever, maybe you will want to enroll someone from that department or from the energy or whatever. So it's up to you. That's what we would like and what we recommend, 2 to 3 people, but is for this, not to make it as broad as possible and engage as many departments as possible. But yeah, no, it's not full time.
Okay, thank you.
And there's another question. What if an association of tourism SMEs would like to apply? I think that the same question was more or less before in terms of the private sector working with the public sector, but go ahead.
Yeah, I would say the same. You cannot apply as an association of tourism SMEs, but I would say that if you have an association of tourism SMEs, you have half of the work done. So I would, in that case, I would really encourage you to contact the organization that you see that it's applicable, that it's closer to you, and that try to enroll them.
So public and private partnership required in that case.
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, can a single county apply? Yes, right? Because a county has more than one.
A county can apply.
So yes, a single county with several municipalities can apply.
Yes.
Okay, so it's a question I received directly. Anybody else? You can also use your open mic if you want.
Yeah, good morning, everyone from the Chamber of Commerce of Florence. I would like to ask you, because I listen, but something not really clear. I cannot figure out how Chamber of Commerce of Florence could be involved in this project. I mean, I think something we can do, but I don't know if exactly I understand who can apply. So please, if you let me. Thank you so much.
Gemma, perhaps you can use the slide where you list them.
Yeah, I'm going to do that. Okay. Can you see it?
Yes.
So these are the territories that can apply. Again, if you have a doubt so for example, if it's not clear here, your type of territory, and you are doubting, because sometimes between countries also the name changes, so it may not be totally clear. So please use the help desk. About your specific case, you said Chamber of Commerce.
Yeah,
again,
same as
yeah.
the Association of SMEs, no?
Yes,
Yeah.
It's a public. I know Chamber of Commerce is an administration for all the small, medium enterprises of the, in this case, the Florence province. But I don't know if we, because yes, we are not consortia, we are not ministry, no region, no municipalities, no metropolitan authorities.
But in this case, maybe you would be public-private consortia for what you are saying?
We are not a consortia, no.
But if you're interested and you join with some of the municipalities of Florence, that could work. I mean, because you already represent the private sector, and again, it would be joining forces with some municipalities of the area.
Yeah, good idea. Maybe the tourism part. Yeah, cool, great. Thank you. Sorry.
Well,
Anja? If I could add, sorry, Nagore, if I could add some suggestions. You know, replication, InCircle replication is targeting policymakers, you know, I mean, who is entitled to produce laws and strategies. So if you're interested in this opportunity, let's join some policymakers at different levels. You know, in Italy, you could have the Provincia as well, you know, or the region in that case, So, but this kind of link with some authority, with a public authority who is entitled to produce law, this is required. Of course, then you could improvise kind of public-private consortia, They are not to be legally established, but at least the link with someone who is in charge of producing law is necessary.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you. More questions? It seems that we cover everything, I guess. Any more questions that you want to apply, or perhaps something else that you, the partners, that are thinking that perhaps, or Gemma, I don't know if you want to add something else, or since more of the questions were about who's eligible, and Anja already, I think, explained it quite clearly that the public sector has to be there. The private sector is welcome to be there. It's an 8-month period, so time needs to be allocated to actually do the work because that's what you are obtaining thanks to you embarking on the process. You can have knowledge partners that support you. That's what the money is for. I'm trying to go through the whole idea of what goes on. Anybody else that wants to add something or ask a question? In the chat, there is no more movement. So okay, I guess that the links are clear in terms of the first link that we shared, that I can copy paste it again, is the link to the replicating, so to the website where the call for replicating territories is available. There you have, in that website, you also have the application form and the help desk. The help desk is a form also for you to post the questions there so that they can read it, process it, and reply to you with a final response on the doubts you have, like the regional park example that was quite a good of a question. Okay, so we're gonna go back to in order to finish, we want to hear from you in terms of how useful this was for you in terms of the, so that's the Mentimeter again. So if you can reply to the question, I'm going to share my screen. There, what we are asking is which of the tools we show you today you find most useful for your destination. That is quite relevant for us to know the part that you're mostly interested in. Okay, thank you for responding. You have there the operational model toolkit, the participatory process toolkit, the strategy evaluation toolkit, circular tourism tool, and knowledge platform. It's very good because we're not so afraid of measuring circular tourism, which is great news. From the perspective of the InCircle project, quite relevant actually. So. Thank you for replying. We have 15 responses. We are 43 people now. Quite a few of us, of course, we are within the project, so not relevant to respond, but okay, I guess that we are also tired towards being hungry, I would guess, because of the time. But circular tourism keeps being relevant, and the knowledge platform quite relevant also, which is great because there you can access all the information that the project has been producing. So pretty good in that sense. Okay, I'm going to go to the next question, which is the last one, and is how likely are you to become a replicating territory? Not because the project selects you or not the question. The question is whether you want to apply to become a replicating territory. Well, we have 2 people are definitely interested for their destinations. Happy to read that. Makes sense to discuss it internally. Perfect. Thank you for responding. Okay, we have someone that hopefully is going to be a user of the help desk. That would be relevant. We're here to help in the process, so. Okay, so quite good that we're having 9 people quite interested, 10 people actually, quite interested, and then a couple with more needing information and so that's quite good already. So I'm going to be sharing in the chat, but also we will be sending you an email with the satisfaction survey for the webinar. It's always good to know your opinion and be able to improve our processes. So there you go. That's a link to the satisfaction survey, super quick to be responded, and you will be receiving an email with that as well, and notifying you when the video and presentations are going to be available on the website. So anybody else from the project that would like to add something before we move into the closing? Okay, we are increasing on definitely interested. Very good.
Maybe we could just remind the audience that today's presentation and the recording will be made available on the project website, along with a frequently asked question document, so that it will be constantly updated, so that all questions will be given due attention.
Perfect. Well, thank you for the feedback. Yes, we went quite quick, actually. We are going to be finishing like 10 minutes or so, perhaps before our time, or 5 minutes. All right, so if we want to proceed to the closing.
Yeah, I would say so if there is no more questions. Maybe Anja or Fabio, if you want to wrap up the session.
Yeah, so thank you all for your participation to the event. What I would like to stress as perhaps the key message is the last questions that we had from the audience regarding how would apply, and indeed the combination of partners representing the private sector, Association of Tourism Operator, Chamber of Commerce, with a policymaker, region, province, county, depending on your country, together, would be the ideal applicant, if Gemma agree, because it demonstrates the two important elements that must have the policymaker, someone that is able to define strategies at political level, but also an active involvement of the key stakeholders during the process. So that will be the ideal application. So I think that this is the key message that we could give. And as I see from also the last poll, there are naturally people that need more information to decide if to apply or not. There's the link with a list of the help desk. So don't be afraid, get in touch, because we can help you to providing you with more information on the tools, on how the replication process will go on, and also to help you preparing the application and how to set up everything. So I would say this is the point, the key point. I don't know, Gemma, if you want to have something.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. And in fact, as I was saying about what you were mentioning, no, about the engagement of the private sector, there is a specific in the Google form that where you will apply for the process. You can upload a statement in the sense of what Fabio was mentioning, no? To see if there is already this engagement from the private sector, you have half of the work done. So I encourage you to upload this file so that we can see it during the selection process.
Well, wonderful. Thank you very much. Thank you all participants from the InCircle project. Thank you everyone participating, ladies and gentlemen from the audience, to have been with us for quite a few hours in a busy morning, probably for Tuesday. So thank you very much. Hopefully receiving your candidacies to the replicating territories or receiving your questions in the help desk. You will be receiving an email, as it has been said, with the satisfaction survey, with the link to the slides and the video for you to, well, review this in case you have further doubts, perhaps prior to sending an email to the help desk. So thank you very much again. Pleasure.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Everybody.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Have a nice day, everyone.